Good morning. What's up, guys? How we doing? Hope you're all having a good morning here so far. Market just opened about 60 seconds ago, so let's get through the business first portion of the stream. So, first of all, let's take a look at market inertia. What are we looking at? Yesterday, we did make a pretty solid attempt at breaking through that flat top. We may end up seeing that flat top that we saw. I'm looking at the daily chart here, bottom of your screen. From about 450 up to 550, that's 21,450 to 21,550. It was a range, okay? Brutal flat top. Been weeks. Yesterday, we really did see a pretty honest to God attempt at breaking through there. Now, we have broken through before. We still haven't tested the actual high of this move. That wick got wicked back down. Bears pushed it back into the channel, okay? Below the flat top. But we may end up seeing this flat top turn into a little ascending wedge. That would be nice. If we fade today back in there, it's like, okay, we're gonna have to deal with that flat top again, but at least now we've broken it and had a close above what anyone could really look at and consider that a flat top. So we've seen a close above there now, which is good. That's a good sign. All right, good news. So I'm looking at that here today. The potential for the market turning into a trend market has, if we're just talking probabilities, it's increased slightly because of yesterday. I'm not itching to put on a bunch of trend trades today, like always in trend trades where I'll hold it for 6 hours to the upside. Market hasn't proved itself for that yet. Okay, but that's what I'm looking at here thus far. That's a good thing. Volatility yesterday, especially later in the day, was crazy low, at least midday. Now, as far as news here for today, let's take a look at what we've got. At 8:45, this is Central Time, we get US S&P Services PMI Final. We also get US S&P Composite PMI Final. And then 9 o'clock, ISM Services PMI. And 9:30, we get EIA Crude Oil. Crude oil doesn't really move things too much. If it's really off the forecast, it might move the S&Ps, which would move the Nasdaq. But really all this stuff here today, guys, as far as news, 8:45, 9, and 9:30 Central Time, I'm not too concerned with. I would be willing to be in trades during pretty much all those releases. I'm not going to go out of my way to do so, but I would be willing to do so if it comes to it. All right, what's up, guys? Good morning. How we doing? Gabri, Dominic, Aaron, Dale. What's up, guys? Steven, welcome back. Javaz, how you doing? Scooby-Doo, good to see you. Kevin, good morning. How we doing? Futures Profit, good to have you. Just joined the channel. Tony Lanes, good morning. Gaines, welcome back, brother. How you doing? Gaines says, just failed an eval. $400 from profit goal. Ooh, yeah, it happens. It happens. Listen, if it's Apex, by the way, make sure you're looking at the deal. It might be a better deal to just cancel and get a different one, or the reset might be cheaper. It depends on which size you went with. Michael Wheelhouse. Pumple, good to see you, brother. Bruce, how we doing? Jason, did you watch it last night? Big fan of that movie. I like that movie a lot. All right, here, getting a push off the open. Here's the first 5-minute candle of the day, closing here at about 17 seconds. By the way, that pre-market high, I'm not really thinking too much of it. It's pre-market level, right? Lower volume. But when that's all you have coming off the open, it's something to pay attention to. As soon as that gets swept by after the bell liquidity, pretty much looking at after the bell stuff then. Pumple, did you manage to get any good entries yesterday? Yeah, so I finished the stream. We took one trade. It was very slow. 3,000 bucks, finished the stream. And then I came back midday, and it was so slow. I didn't do much midday, after, like immediately after lunch. So I did some other stuff, came back to the chart, and it was a little bit improved. So for maybe the last 2.5 hours, maybe 2 hours, I did take some trades. I had, I think after the stream, I had 2 winners, 2 losers, but it was positive reward to risk. So I finished the day up 6,200 bucks total. That was the end of day P&L yesterday. So that's 29K in the last 3 trading days. So let's just see what we can do here today. All right, there you are, breaking that a little pre-market top, coming into the open. Again, I think it's important to understand these opening, and this has always been this way, these little opening pops or opening dumps, today obviously opening pop, there's about a 50% chance that it just reverses and fades, which is why we let these institutional orders clear off the open. TC, good morning. Christian, good to have you. All right, so 5-minute top left, 2-minute top right, watching both. The 5-minute has been quite a bit cleaner as of late, so I'm focusing pretty heavily on the 5. At least for entries, but I'm not against the 2, of course. Drayden Chris, good morning. Truly been watching the series since the beginning, and the fact that you were making these types of numbers in this amount of time is mind-blowing. Well, I've been trading for kind of a long time, but yeah, if we're talking prop, yeah, it's been pretty quick. But I say all the time, the slow way is going to be the fast way, which is everyone tries to scale it vertically. They're like, all right, I'm going to cheat the system. I'm going to get 2 Apex accounts, and I'm going to trade them really big and get a $500,000 payout. And it's like, okay, well, you're gonna blow them because the probability, if you look at the stats of you trading that big, you can take, what, 2 or 3 losers in a row, which is gonna happen. I mean, last week in the morning, man, we were just getting brutalized. Pretty much throughout all of last, I'm trying to remember, was this last week? I think this was last week, like early last week. We fixed it up starting on Friday. But like Monday, or no, Monday was like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I was pretty much break even, maybe including the afternoon, slightly green. And then the last 3 trading days is 29K in the last 3 days. But if I were trading vertically, trying to scale this vertically, like going not a lot of accounts for the sake, this is my point, of saving expenses, like less activation fees, less eval fees. You would just, you lose 2 in a row, you lose 3 in a row, the account's gone. Now you're just churning expenses anyway. So I'm serious, guys. If you're gonna trade prop, scale it horizontally. Yes, the expenses are gonna be slightly higher, but that allows you to trade small per account and still put up numbers that actually improve your life. Aaron, good morning. All right. Bruce passed another eval off that failed breakout during pre-market. Almost to 20 PAs again. Think bigger. Let's go. Listen, I'm telling you, if you can run 10, 15, 20, moving into 25, 30 across different props accounts, 40. We're getting up there now. You got to be able to trust your copy trader, right? You're probably not going to be able to trade 40 accounts all individually. There's just not enough good trades to be able to do that every day. But if you trade them in groups, that's fine. If you trade them all together, that's fine. I think once, I don't know, man. I've been thinking about this. Once I get to like 40 accounts, I'm wondering, maybe I should trade them in two groups. And the only reason I say that is because there's no good way, which I think is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. This doesn't make any sense for a bunch of trading companies coming together that don't have a max size setting. Ninja Trader, I was looking through yesterday. I don't see a way. If you guys know a way, let me know. Every way that I've been told to set a max position size, it doesn't exist. It's not even there. It's like the people didn't even like check. Rhythmic, I don't know of any way to do it. I've known people that went back and forth with them, haven't been able to do it. This is so basic from the world that I come from. Like, I'm used to you just call your rep at your broker. You have the guy's phone number. You call him and say, hey, I want you to change my max size this morning to this. And he says, okay, done. Have a good day. Hang up the phone. Ben, it's a little bit of a weird adjustment here, but if anybody at all is listening, please make an option to set max size on these accounts, because that is really the only reason for me why I would want to not copy trade all of them, in case we get a glitch where I mean in my leader account to buy one contract and it buys 100. I don't even want that to be a possibility. If something glitches, I want it to just max out at 1 and I can deal with the glitch while it sits at 1 contract. And then the followers obviously are ratioed off of 1 contract, so they sit at, 5 or whatever. Cisco says, I use an add-on called Guardian Angel that allows you to set a max position size. Who's that by? And does it link into Ninja, or does it link into like Tradeovate or what? I don't care, man. I don't care. If it's paid, just tell me how to do it. I don't care. I just want to get this working. Yeah, Chris. So Chris says, couldn't you lead? This is a good idea, Chris. By the way, I'm watching this. This is the third 5-minute bar of the day. Watching this little reversal here to see how this bar closes. We got about 58 seconds. Chris says, couldn't you lead with a static 100K Apex account, which I have a few of, which has a max of 2 minis and 20 micros? Yeah, but the problem, Chris, with that is it's still 20 micros, and I sacrifice one funded account to use as the leader. And right now, yeah, my leader is 100K static. So I guess you're right. It would max out at 20, not 100, like the 50K. The problem is I only trade 1 micro in the leader so that I can ratio the rest of them without thinking too hard about it. So I kind of sacrifice that leader account, just trading 1 micro all the time. And if it went to 20, that would be basically 100 in a bunch of the accounts, because the ratio, right? So, all right, watching to see if we get a reasonable close here out of this bear bar. It looks like it's going to close inside of that previous 5-minute, which I'm not interested in. Had we gotten a close right about here, I would have been very interested in this, but we wicked back up, didn't get it. So, next bar. The nice thing here is we're never more than 4 or 5 minutes out from a really nice setup. Foreign Trader, I assume for you guys using Tradeovate, does the copy trade react on executions then? Meaning whatever the leader account does, the copy, because if there's no bracket orders at all for copy trading, then how do you copy trade? Is it all manual? That doesn't make any sense. The way that I have my copy trader set up, by the way, is I don't use the order function, which is the limit orders go out in all the accounts. So when you guys see I have bracket orders set when I'm in trades here on this execution screen, you can see the lines, right? Average price, stop, take profit, assuming I'm long. Those orders are only out. Sorry, I'm in the trade in all the accounts, but the stop and take profit orders are only out on the leader. They don't go out on the followers, because if they did, I would have massive issues with all the follower accounts getting half fills or not full fills or glitching. One gets a full fill, one I'm left with 2 contracts, I only took 3 off or whatever. So what I do is for the copy trader, I use the executions function, which I'm in the trade in all the accounts with the ratio specified. And then the stop and take profit are only out on the leader. And whatever the leader does, all the followers do. Just at market. I know you get slightly worse fills because I'm using market orders on all the followers, but that's the game here. And it makes the copy trading so much more doable when you just accept that you're probably going to have to use market orders on the followers. Chris says he uses... Chris K uses the orders mode with affordable indicators. How many, if you care to share, you certainly do not have to. How many accounts are you using, though, that you haven't had issues? Because I have used that order function, not with affordable indicators, but I've used it with Replicanto. And it had massive problems with really anything over like 10 accounts. So you see here on the 2-minute chart up top right of your screen, the market is going to, you know, these little trading ranges after hard pushes, not even that hard of a push, but relatively hard. These trading ranges after the fact are very, very common. So let's see which direction we end up breaking out. Brandon, good morning. What's up, Jet? Good to see ya. Ooh, interesting. Michael says, I used order modes with 29 accounts with no issues. Are you still using it? Or did you go back to executions? I'm a big believer, I guess, in like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of mentality. But you gotta get better. You know, if there's a way we can make this better, I'm willing to give it a shot. However, in the past, with the copy trader stuff, when something's working and I'm like, yeah, there's a good way, there's a better way to do this, and I make a change, I oftentimes regret that change because it wasn't better. So right now I kind of know with all these accounts that when I use executions, it works more or less. The problem that I have is the NinjaTrader Ghost position order, which is why you guys see when I get hit out, sometimes it'll say, like, let's say I'm trading like 50 contracts. When I get out, maybe it says I have 4 left over, or 20 left over, or 1 left over, but I don't actually have one, and then I say I have to flatten. But I'm not too worried about it because it's really not a real position anyway. It's just a glitch that's well known in Ninja. All right, well, we are well into 850 territory, so those institutional orders have been pretty much cleared for the last 10 minutes. Just waiting to get some kind of definitive move here, which really is going to end up looking like a breakout one way or the other here. Then I'm ready to hit it. Peter says, hey, I see that lately you focus a little more on the 5-minute as opposed to the 2-minute. Does that have anything to do with the current market conditions? Yeah, so I've always been watching both. I was trading off the 2-minute. Right now I'm trading off the 5-minute. It has everything to do with market conditions. The 2-minute was very wicky. Has been very wicky for the last, like, week. So I made that change here on Monday. And I'm liking it in this current market environment. If the market shifts, we'll have to go back. But listen, guys, when selecting a time frame, I mean, these three are the ones that I watch really mainly. And by the way, we are getting a nice little push downside here, testing that 5-minute 20 EMA. Let's see how that ends up closing. Volatility is really not all that high. But this is pretty much backfilling or trying to backfill a lot of the range. The opening range here, right? But I watch the daily and the 2-minute and the 5-minute, and those are my three. And I go back and forth between executing on the 5 and the 2, depending on the market environment. But you know, there's something to be said for when you're picking a time frame. There's no right or wrong answer. It's just what for you is kind of the fastest time frame that in the current market environment you can trade. If you had to, you can sit and make good decisions all day. You know, on a 5-minute chart, maybe there's 80 some bars a day. On a 2-minute chart, let's think about this. There's 200 something bars throughout the day. I think that's right. That's a lot. That's a lot when you're watching most of the bars. For me, I'm watching pretty much every bar except for when I leave and sit and eat lunch because I don't want to stare at it anymore for that like 30 minutes. All right, we got 1:20 left here on this 5-minute bar. Let's see how this closes. You see the bulls trying to suck it back up into the channel. You can see on the 2-minute, which is why I do think it's helpful to have like a 5-minute and then your choice up. Again, the 2-minute top right, you can see it's almost like a little descending, pretty aggressive descending channel or wedge. About 50 seconds out here on the 5. I'll get a stop limit sell ready. I am interested here. I don't really want to sell the rollover. I'm interested in this. Yeah, there's 30 seconds. I'm going to pull it. Damn. Okay. All right. That's all right. We have news again at 9 o'clock. ISM Services PMI. Now, my thought process there, by the way, is you see we're coming kind of right into the 5-minute 20. So in a lot of other scenarios, I would have sold that rollover. That would have been good enough for me. But instead, I opt to use a stop limit sell, give it 30 seconds, because the wick was below the 20 EMA. I just don't want to have to deal with the 20 EMA, because I know that bulls watch it. I don't really think it means much, but they do, so I have to lay down and accept that. Tallahassee, I actually had this problem, man, when was it? I think it was Sunday night. I was trying to log into Ninja, and I assumed it was my computer, and then I looked online and I saw a couple people having the problem. It doesn't seem like too many people chat about issues with NinjaTrader. But I think they were doing some work. I think they are still doing some work. But I haven't had the problem since Sunday. All right, remember, we have US ISM services PMI hitting here in 1 minute and 45 seconds. Forecast is 52. Let's see what we get. All right, 5 seconds. And there's always a little delay here with the news. 49.9, forecast was 52. Again, that's US ISM Services PMI, came in at 49.9, forecast was 52. That right there is going to be about the biggest news release of the day, at least scheduled. That was a pretty big move for that, huh? Suppose it came in a little off, 49.9. Again, forecast 52. It's a big old gap to see intraday, goodness. Look at this, guys. You don't see this too often on a 2-minute chart. I mean, immediately on the rollover. Intraday gap 30 minutes after the New York bell on the Nasdaq. That does not happen very often. That's crazy. Volume is very, it seems like volatility in general is very low right now. And ISM services, it moves things, but usually not like that. That's crazy. It's got to look different on. I don't have Thinkorswim immediately pulled up. It's just behind me. Actually, hold up. There was a gap on Thinkorswim too, but it was much smaller. So this is a NinjaTrader thing. There was still a gap on NQ on Thinkorswim, but it was quite a bit smaller. The candle looks a little different. So You gotta let this work. Let this thing work out. I'll give it maybe 2.5 minutes. Let this candle close. I mean, geez. See, okay, so here's the thing, guys, with data errors. Okay, and this is the truth. In the financial space, financial news, and pricing data, like bids, offers, level 2, charts, which really are just visual representations of the pricing data. In the financial space, there's I mean, you could argue that there is a monopoly in financial news, financial data in general. So what happens is, and this has been going on for many, many years, you'll have one platform that shows something really weird, like a stock will be priced totally wrong. And it becomes the talk of the internet for half a day. And they'll say, no, it's showing that way on this platform too. It must be real. We have to understand that there's a monopoly on this. So every platform is just picking a couple of companies that they're getting all their news from, all their data from. And if one of the top companies that's spread out to all these different platforms has an error, it gets spread out to multiple platforms because they're getting their data from the same place. Or a wrong news headline, for example, you're like, no, but it's on these multiple websites, it's on these multiple platforms because it's coming from the same place. So that's a huge problem. But that's okay. I'd much rather, given that or getting rid of PDT. PDT is a much bigger problem. I think it's just important to understand that about the data, how the data gets fed to you, where it's coming from. Lee, good morning. All right, we've got 22 seconds till this 5-minute bar closes. That took out more than the opening range, by the way. All right, good. Now we can start fresh. Seems like both sides are kind of struggling right now. On some kind of balance here. Let's see if the bears can take out this little wick low. Once we get out of this little range, I think the market will be a lot more decisive. Meaning the news bar range. So that's good. Let's see if we can... We still have 3 minutes until the close of this 5-minute bar, but if we can get a nice clean close pretty much right here, I'd happily sell the rollover of this bar. But I wouldn't want to see it grow too much because then, you know, we have to remember we're in a range market. When you're pushing too far out of the range, which in a lot of ways, you know, pre-market helps you determine kind of what that range is, what the market's okay with, but a lot of this is simply discretionary, which is why the best thing you can do right now is trade small and watch a lot of charts. put in a lot of screen time. That is the work. As traders, I think a lot of people are like, I don't really know, like, how do I get better? Because when I trade, I lose, so I can't really trade a ton. Well, you can trade small, have definitive setups that you're looking for, trade one micro, forward testing it, I think is the best way to go, with such little size that it won't hurt you at all, even if you lose 100 in a row. That's one micro. And then if you can, try to trade as much of the day as you can. All right, actually a pretty good 2-minute close. But after that news wick, I'm going to wait for the 5-minute to close. And here we are, it's growing. You can see that here. That news wick is going to suck up ATR to 31. Here on the 5-minute chart at least. Which for a 5-minute chart, even 31 is still pretty damn low. Well, this would be a pretty... The range of today's New York session is still pretty tight. However, if we did get a clean close out of this in 35 seconds, meaning below this wick, somewhere in this region, near the low of this bar as it currently exists, I'm interested in selling the rollover. We are pressing what the range currently is a little bit, but the context of the daily chart, we're really not pressing it much. Again, today's New York session has been relatively tight so far already. It'd be a relatively risk-on trade, but here you go. You're getting the bulls wicking this right back up anyway. Goodness, that's an awful close for the Bears. Look at this. Crazy. All right, that makes this bar really important to me. Oh, Jesus. Well, as that exists right now, that'd be a pretty damn risk-on trade. Thinking maybe about sizing down a little. The reason I say that is because, I mean, really, I can only enter this if we get a close above now. I mean, had we closed down here, I'd have put it on. But now it's pretty much if we get a close above 29. I mean, even just risking the signal bar would be about 50 points of risk. And what I really want to risk is the curl. We got 90 points of risk. It's almost 10,000 bucks. We first got to see how this closes. King says, Nico, I've lost 9 straight trades in less than 1 minute. This is really disturbing good spots. I don't think, I gotta be clear, I don't think there were 9 good trades in 1 minute. That would put the best micro scalpers on the planet to shame. That's a lot of trades. Kings, it sounds like you might just be watching this price action and like, okay, when it dips, I'll buy. I think that's a good way to get chopped up in movement like this. And if it pops, I'll sell. For me, I need a little bit more development than that. Joseph is asking what happened. That gap down, that was US ISM Services PMI. And a little bit of a delayed data error from NinjaTrader. Though Thinkorswim didn't look that much different. Just very, very quick movement. Mario, good morning. And yeah, Kings, about those trades that, you know, nine losers in 1 minute, you're probably running stops that are a little too tight. It's really one of the most frustrating things you can do as a trader is not give yourself room to actually be right. You risk so little because you're so scared of losing money that you risk like 5 points and you immediately get chopped out, and then you lose 6 in a row and you're like, wow, I suck at this, and you start trading on tilt. You got to give yourself room to be right. It's not bad to have wide stops if the market calls for it, but you want to make sure the numbers are still working, right? Probability, reward to risk, trade small, especially when you're using wide stops. Yeah, I mean, again, I need to see it close above 729 to even be interested. And I'd have to scramble to get my sizing right and then hit it. Yeah, we're not going to get the close anyway. That's okay. You know, it's also worth considering we are kind of at that 50% retracement zone, at least up here at the EMA. Yeah, Kings, I haven't read any of his stuff. So I can't, I have nothing good or nothing bad to say about him. I think I've heard the name though. But first of all, hang on, we got 3 minutes 43 seconds left on this bar. I'm seeing if we get a nice close above the 20. Then I think I can get away with risking the previous bar, which would be a lot more reasonable and let me keep similar size. But think about something with me for a second, right? If you're taking trades, and if you really internalize what I'm about to say, this could change your entire career path. If you're thinking in terms of probabilities, we don't deal in certainties, we only deal in probabilities. If you're risking 5 points, looking to make 30 or 50 or even 15, what happens to probability, considering that really probability of a 1-to-1 reward to risk, if you buy and sell, if you buy at one moment or sell at the exact same moment, 90% of the time, probability is going to be between 40 and 60%. Sometimes it goes out to 30 to 70% probability that it goes to one place before it goes to the other. If you understand that and you think, okay, I'm willing to risk 5 points because I'm scared of losing money, but I want to make 15, 20, 50 points. All of a sudden, the probability goes way, way down because you're trying to time it just perfectly. Most of the time, that's not going to happen. The market's two-sided. And it's very rarely even 70% one-sided. There has to be someone to sell you the contracts that you're trying to buy in a big bull trend, which means bears exist. Okay, so the whole like small losses thing, it sounds really cool. And sometimes it might make sense if probability is in your favor at that very moment, but to just throw around 5, 10, 15 point stops looking for 50 points all the time, you're gonna lose a ton of trades in a row, and it's not your fault. That's just the way the probability is gonna land in the environment we're trading, where it's always two-sided with a slight spectrum of probability change. All right, we've got a minute 22 left here on this 5-minute bar. Again, I want to see if we get a close above the 20 EMA. Jim, good morning. Trading is a lot less stressful when you actually give yourself, whether you're scalping, swing trading, it doesn't matter. When you actually give yourself room to be right, which is going to increase your average trade duration a little bit. If you're like, again, using 5-point stops, looking for two-second trades all the time, you're going to go through periods where you lose 15 in a row. And 5 minutes later, you've lost 15 in a row and you're down like 15R. That's not fun. I don't care who you are. You're probably going on tilt. You gotta give yourself some room so that if you get stopped out, it's like, okay, I was just wrong. That's fine. All right, let's see here. Oh, bulls, you're killing me. Oh, closing directly on top of the 20. That's not a coincidence. I have to hold off. See how the next bar develops here. Had we closed up in this region, I would have immediately hit the market, just bought the rollover looking for a move upside, but I gotta hold off. Damn, that sucks. It's too bad. It's one of those things that were like, it just barely shifts probability kind of out of my favor, maybe at least enough for me to not take it. Because it's like when this happens, this is such a little nuanced thing. We close within 1 or 2 ticks of the 20 EMA, not really above it. What does that tell us? We have a wick above it. It tells us the bears were watching that, trying to kind of stab it back down to the 20. So if you ask me honestly, it's like, well, when that exact thing happens, do you have edge? My answer is I don't know in that case. It doesn't happen enough. I don't have enough data on that exact scenario, so I'm not going to take the trade. Now, I know that if you ask me that same question and we got to close up here, the answer is yeah, so I should put the trade on. I'd probably risk this original reversal signal bar and look for a move higher. But when this happens, you got to ask yourself, when that happens, do I have enough data to reasonably know whether or not I have edge? If the answer is no, you got to skip it. Got to skip it. Yeah, see the bear is fading this thing back down. I mean, it makes sense, right? That they're at least going to try after that close we got. Now, it's very reasonable to expect that this is a trading range, which, by the way, can change at any moment. I mean, you look at the 2-minute. There's a 2-minute chart. Little pop, fade, pop. It wouldn't surprise me if we get another little fade or go sideways. If we do go sideways, we'll probably get a second leg up. But that's all just speculation. I have to wait to see. Like, for example, if this 5-minute bar closes beneath this wick, guess what the 2-minute's also doing? Dipping beneath this wick. And then we're likely in a trading range, in which case I'd have reasonable expectation that we'd test the bottom, which would be well below here. Take out some stops at low of day. That'd be a beautifully structured trade if we can get it here in 1:10. And I need to see it close pretty much beneath 695. Happily sell that. Let's see if we can get it. All right. Let's get ready. Again, close beneath 695 and I'd sell the rollover. Not even close. On to the next bar. Again, the beauty with the 5-minute chart, even the 2-minute, is that we're really never more than 4 or 5 minutes away from entering something. Even when it looks its absolute worst, and we're oftentimes much closer than that. Again, 5-minute top left, 2-minute top right, daily there on bottom. Gotta need some labels on those, huh? Jim says, I've been trading for almost 50 years. As trading has moved from open outcry to computer program trading, certain indicators have become more reliable and important. 100%. Man, sometimes it's like, I don't know. Being an open outcry trader in Chicago in the 80s, oh, that'd have been something else. All right, 2.5 minutes out from the close of this 5 minute. You guys know the drill. You'd very much argue that, hey, maybe we're entering a little ascending range now, right? Had a little flat top, now trying to break that. If we get a nice clean close above here, you could say, well, we're in a trading range. So a test downside of here is reasonable, so I'd probably risk below this curl. That's plenty of risk. If we were to stop me out, then we'd break that range anyway. See if we can get a clean close. Yeah, Peter, the idea there was basically, I think you're talking about this bar. If the bears were able to make the bulls give up and stop holding this previous bar as wick, then, you do have reason to believe, at least I would, that this is a short-lived little pop, and then we're going to fade, maybe take out this low again. But we didn't get that at all. The bulls were able to hold it up, even inside of the previous bar's body, which had to hold off. All right, 30 seconds. All right, good. In there, I will risk this curl. 94, and we'll expand that out a little bit. And manage bar by bar. Now again, if this does end up being a little trading range, not unexpected. If I take on a little bit of heat, that's fine. But if we break downside through here, especially through here, that range is broken. And then I want to get stopped and we move on, which is a good thing because we learned something, right? So let's see if we just backfill this little range, pop up through. You'll say, well, why didn't you wait for the range? Because that's, I gotta catch that setup in case this ends up being continuation. Nice clean close here out of the bulls. Yeah, Peter, every trade is going to be a mix of robotic and discretionary. And listen, there's always going to be, like, this is part of the game, right? Like, you guys might take trades that I'm like, I got to hold off. If you like the trade, you should still take the trade. I might take trades that a lot of you guys are like, I wouldn't do that because of this. That's good. That's why the market works, because there's two sides on every single buy or sell. There's always the other side. Otherwise, the market doesn't work. Nah, Cody, I'm copy trading. I'm holding 51 right now. Obviously, this screen is just going to show the leader account. So this has become very interesting. My minimum here, as far as profit, if I can help it, I'd like to get a minimum of 50 points. But guess what? That's right at high of day, which I would like to use as some stops. So what I'm thinking here is I'm gonna set this. Whoops. I'm gonna set this at 803.50. 60 points and see if we can take out some stops here and give us, if we can get 10 points, I'd be happy with that. But first we gotta get some movement here and cover this range, backfill this range. Move that for you. Well, you guys know where I'm sitting right here, so let me show you this. This is currently where we sit as far as open. And if you're curious, there's the roster for today. About 6 points, 6 points in the money right now. Not much. If you guys haven't yet, I appreciate you leaving a like on the stream. Keeps it free. That's all I ask. What's up, Shay? How we doing? Come on, volatility. Don't die on me now. Hey, James. What's up, brother? Well, Bear's trying to pull this on back to the 5-minute 20. Which, of course, is conveniently thought of ahead of time. Right there. All right, 50 seconds out from the close of this 5-minute bar. We'll see how this ends up closing. Now again, if we take out that sweep low, where my stop is, then this, any little prayer here, look, 2-minute chart, right? Any little prayer of the, this little ascending channel would be broken. And then the bulls are probably feeling not too good, including myself. So I would want to get out there. That gives us more information, and potentially we're seeing this as just a second leg before the fall to try to take out the low of day, which really was based on that news. Actually, no, it was the bar immediately after the news. So, but anyway, listen. I mean, you put these trades on. If there's something that you really need to manage early for some reason, like there's a really obvious setup that you would undoubtedly take short, but you're sitting long, then you maybe cut it early. But with trades like this, I mean, you're giving it room for a reason. You're looking for a bigger move. The average trade duration is going to be a little bit longer. I think over-managing is a big mistake. It sometimes makes sense to manage, but most of the time, you're in it for a reason. Don't over-manage. Jay, Nico, when you get a chance, could you tell us if you apply any settings to your ATR indicator? I just use a 10 value on it, which on a 5-minute chart is going to be 10 5-minute bars. And then I overlay it with on the same section as the range indicator, which is the yellow one. So those are two different indicators, I guess you'd call them, really just data displays on top of each other. All right, about 26 points in the red. See if this channel holds. Again, if it gives out, I just want to get stopped and move on. But if it holds, not going to overmanage it. Max says, I just found you about a week ago. I appreciate you, brother. I've blown over 170 evals and 12 PAs. I'm working on consistency. Yeah, Max, believe it or not, that's not even close to the most I've ever heard. Not even close. It's actually a very normal number. So I know it's a lot of money, but there's also a lot of money to be made in trading, so stick with it. I mean, there are people out there in the thousands on their PA numbers. On their PA counts are numbered in the thousands. Think about that. That's crazy. But if that's your business model, that's your business model. Nico, I got tons of motivation from your 0 to 100K series and love the live stream now. Question, have you received a payout from Apex yet? If so, is the experience a smooth one? Thanks for all you do. Yeah, many payouts from Apex, and I have never been denied. I've never had an issue, nothing. It's always been very smooth. Now, how quickly does the money hit the account? It varies kind of a lot with Apex, but it's like whatever. I mean, sometimes I've had it in, after it gets approved, a few days. Sometimes it's taken weeks. But it's always hit the account, and it's always been approved. No problems. $1,000 PA accounts, how they trade them all. No, they're trading 20 at a time, but they've just blown that many that they're into the thousands, which is crazy. And for those people that I've seen, their business model tends to be bet big, take payouts, and cycle through accounts, which I gotta tell you is exactly what Apex is trying to crack down on right now. All this drama about Apex is nothing more than that. Muhammad, I'm glad you're so sure, brother. Loser ass mentality. As far as news, we're pretty much clear for the rest of the day. A few Trump things in the afternoon. But that's it. As far as headlines, we're pretty much good to go. So just let this thing work. Jacob made a new rule to only trade after noon New York time. Interesting. Found that all my good trades always occur in the last 4 hours of close. Honestly, less volume and smoother structure provides you a better edge. Listen, hey, if you trade best in the afternoon, then trade the afternoon. For most people, usually the edge goes down slightly in the afternoon. But honestly, for me, it tends to depend on the market conditions. Sometimes it goes up in the afternoon. Like last week, I seemingly, against smaller sample size, but I had better edge in the afternoon. Normally, though, it's slightly higher in the morning. But once you get enough data, you'll have a pretty good idea of where you stand. All right, let's see if this little low gets swept. And if it does, we'll get stopped, and then we learn more about what's going on here. But, I mean, really, there's kind of a flat bottom here forming if you look at the smaller time frames. So you look at the 2 minute, and again, that's fine. I'm not looking at grasping at straws. Oh, what's going to save the trade? I'm not really interested in managing this thing early at this point. Ryan, how you become disciplined in trading? Advice. Trade really small, trade a lot, and track your data. Now, when I say trade a lot, trade good setups. Take a lot of good setups. Don't just, oh, hey, it's dipping hard, let me buy. That's popping, let me sell. You gotta have some kind of structure in what you're doing. But if you develop some structure and you start tracking your data, you should take that structure whenever it presents itself and then see, hey, is the data working? And you're trading so small, you're trading 1 micro that you don't even care. If it doesn't work, the only thing you lost was time. That's it. Which also sucks, but at least you're not losing a bunch of money on top of it. Dred and Chris, one micro gang. Max, I'm not big on indicators. He's asking what indicators I use or recommend. I don't recommend any. I have a 20 EMA up there just for context. And then on the bottom there, I have the range of each bar in yellow and the average true range of the last 10 bars averaged together in blue. That's it. Price action is king. Focus on price action. You can waste a lot of years looking for the magic indicator. It's not coming. People have been looking for decades. It's not coming. Oh yeah, man. People forget about the brick and mortar prop shops. When people say prop, I think everyone just assumes that props comes from the online prop firm space. No, there's still to this day brick and mortar prop shops. They've bred some of the best traders on the planet in those babies. Yeah, S&B, I would say, yeah. Trillium, well-known one. They've gone through a lot of traders at brick and mortar prop shops, but they also have bred some of the best traders on the planet, for sure. But most people that go to prop shops like that, same as the online space, most people come in and they're gone, probably inside of a year. Scooby says, Nico, can you explain a signal bar? Here, the bar that I enter on. Signal from my entry. Part of that is a discretionary call, by the way. It's not like a, if this happens, and this happens. It's a signal bar. For me, that's a signal bar. Not for everybody. So, like we talked about on entry, it was entirely possible that this little breakout attempt became a trading range, which it has. Again, if we break, right now we're kind of holding a flat bottom, which is fine, but if we, I mean, the entire premise of the original trade, or the entire idea, is that if we stop me out, at that instant, we have broken any hope of that trading range holding. Which means that I need to leave it. Because currently, exactly what we said entering has happened and held. Now, obviously, it would have been best if that breakout just became continuation. It popped us through. I mean, it put us, at best here, maybe 15 points in the money. And then continued higher and took out these stops. We could take profit. But this was also certainly a possibility upon entry. And that hasn't changed. So, just thinking out loud here. As far as management, gotta leave it. Jacob, that should explain your question about the current stop loss. What we just talked about right now. About 5 points, 6 points in the red on this trade currently. Be damn close to break even here. Well, right about break even. Joseph says, never dollar cost average in longer trades knowing there's a range, maybe dollar cost average at the low of the range to lower entry, but never one stop loss on original and new orders. Thoughts? but never one stop loss on original and new orders. I think I know what you're saying, Joseph. I feel like I'm missing context. Yeah, if you want a dollar cost average in, you got to make sure you're not breaking your prop rules, which is important mostly on the exits. On the entries, it's like Apex is usually pretty cool with DCA. But on the exits, you got to consider, like, are you making 1 point on the second buy without realizing it? Oh, you're saying never lower stop loss. This is a really hard topic because the reality is a lot of people, they say, I'm going to dollar cost average in. And that's fine. It can work. But if you're newer and you don't have the gut to do it, you end up with a big position that starts going against you, and it's really easy to just lower the stop loss, lower the stop loss, lower the stop loss, and all of a sudden you're holding 5 times your original size, and you're 150 points in the red. That happens almost every time. So if you want a dollar cost average in, you have to be able to get out as soon as it goes against you, and there's maybe a signal bar that looks wrong, that doesn't match your setup. You gotta get out. But yes, Joseph, mathematically, if we're thinking in probabilities, if you're gonna dollar cost average in, let's say, for example, if I were gonna do that here, and I enter here, turns out, okay, we're gonna enter a trading range first. It would make sense for me to enter at the bottom of the trading range and keep the stop the same. That would make mathematical sense. Yes, in some cases it would. So I'm not gonna like hide that. Like, yes, of course that would make mathematical sense. But it gets a lot of people into a lot of trouble. So for most traders, I don't think it's worth even diving into. Again, unless you just have brutal ice in your veins. You don't care. You'll cut it as soon as you need to. But that game really quickly turns into buy and pray. It's hard. It's a hard game to play as a human. But if you do it the right way, yeah, it can make mathematical sense. Sure. And yeah, listen, guys, if you want to play the dollar cost average game and you're gonna add to losers while you're in the red, but you're gonna leave your stop the same. Your original stop becomes the same stop for the second buy. You have to understand that if you're buying your second buy like down here, think of that second trade as a standalone trade. Target's way up here. Stop is right here. Probability on the second buy is even worse than probability on the first buy because you're using, like, that's like what now, like a 4 or 5 to 1 reward to risk. So you have to consider that probability just shot way down on the second buy alone. So, I'm really, I'm not too interested in taking any less than 60 points. We're currently 26 points in the money. But again, if I have to manage bar by bar, I'm going to. But I really want to see if we can take out those stops at the high of day, which should be good for an extra 5-10 points. Yeah, Lee, take profits currently at 803.50. So Running low on beverages here. Dominic says, Brad, dollar cost averaging as a way to get out of a bad trade at break even is a losing proposition. Yeah, Dominic, again, I deal in probabilities, not certainties. So I think the way that you're intending what you're saying is, I would agree with you. But mathematically, unfortunately, it can make sense. It's just I don't encourage that behavior because you're going to get cut. Because you're a person, and it's really, really hard to do that the right way. It's just too hard. Trading is hard enough as it is. I don't think it's worth making it harder. Nico, how long have you been at this? A little under a decade at this point. And have you been employed as a trader with a firm? Nah, man, I didn't become a trader to show up to work every day. They'd have to come with a hell of a deal to get me to go into an office every day. Not against it, but that's not why we become traders. Yeah, see, Brandon's got it. We got to get a mini fridge going in here. Yeah, you know, listen, like, as a trader, I don't know, man. Again, I'm not, like, against it. If someone comes and they're like, hey, we're gonna give you this insane deal and this insane amount of capital to come trade for us, and we're gonna put you in a position to be one of the best in the world. It's like, fine, I'll show up to work. But like, if I do something stupid trading, it's like, I know I did something dumb. I don't need some other man telling me I did something stupid. That's not why we do this. All right, Bulls, come on now. Give us a pop-up through that intraday high. Take us through 21.8. Hit me out of target, 803.50. Still a ways to go here. Well, slow and steady here. Let it work. Okay, target up at 803.50. We got to take out, obviously, 21.8, which is a tier 3 level. I'm not really concerned about that. But intraday high is here, 93.50. By the way, ATR today on the 5-minute chart is just dipped below 30. It's at 29.96. Peter says, looking for movie recommendations. Anything directly or indirectly related to trading? Yeah, like Owning Mahoney is really a great movie. It's not a trading movie, it's a gambling movie, but if you look at it from the side of the casino, it's kind of like a probability movie. It's a really good movie. Your wives and girlfriends will like it too. It's a good one. Yeah, there's, it's interesting. There's not really like a ton of trading movies out there. Yeah, Rogue Trader, Boiler Room, Margin Call, Wolf of Wall Street, obviously, Billions, Big Short. That's kind of like it. It's kind of weird. There's not really a lot. All right, let's see if this enters a little trading range after that leg up, which is not uncommon, by the way. I mean, you can't just reasonably expect this thing to shoot all the way higher in one swoop on every single trade. Yeah, you know, it's kind of funny, like watching trading movies or financial movies as a trader. I'm sure you can all relate. It's kind of a weird experience because they have to sort of like dumb things down so that people actually watch the movie. Because, I mean, if you make a movie just for traders and the entire movie is just trading jargon that we'll understand, the movie's going to flop because everyone's going to say, I don't know what the hell's going on, and turn it off. So it's kind of silly. Like, it makes it makes it really clear that these are actors working on a script when you're watching a trading movie as a trader. But I mean, they're good. A lot of them are still really good. All right, bulls. Let's see if this turns into a little short-lived trading range, ideally, and test that high. Hit out some of these short stops that are averaging into this move with a stop above high of day. Push us to 803.50 for a quick little fill. That's what's going to happen. That's the plan. Ooh, Bear's stepping in here, at least trying to. Yeah, volatility's kind of low. I mean, the ATR on the 5-minute chart is 28.6, which is certainly not tremendous. But it's fine. I mean, these last couple days, well, really today and yesterday especially, man, midday-ish, like around noon central, I was seeing a lot of 5-minute bars that were putting in less than 10-point ranges on a 5-minute bar, which is embarrassing, to say the least, as far as the market. But today's, you know, it's low, but it's manageable. Alright, well, I think we've spent about enough time in this range. Come on, bulls. Vinny says, Nico, have you read Trading in the Zone? No, I haven't, but I've heard it's a good one. We got 3 minutes left on this 5-minute bar. Bear's trying to take us back here. Oh, bulls, you're killing me. So about 19, 20 points in the money as we currently sit. Again, I'm really not interested in, so we're 21 points in the money. I'm really not interested in getting any less than 60. So target's at 803.50, looking for a little bit of a stop hunting mentality around the high of day. Just need to see a test of that. Well, not too bad of a close there on the 5-minute out of the bulls. Able to wick that baby back upside. Come on, bulls. I'm out of coffee. I just got to get the setup going here in the office, I think. Yeah, Brandon says, is it reasonable to assume a test of that 10-15 bar high probably has stops that would push us to high of day, which probably has enough stops to push us to target? You know, he's talking about this curl here. Honestly, I don't know if there's enough stops here, but the longer we trade beneath this curl, the more stops will accumulate. So I would expect a small stop hunting mentality up here if we could see a break. Maybe not enough to get us to high of day. That remains to be seen. The high of day, though, should have enough to get us at least to 21.8, I would think. And then we'll see as far as getting my 60 points. Yeah, that's the plan. That stop hunting mentality mixed with the original setup. Gotta see these bulls grow a little bit of enough backbone here to quit just wicking the bears and actually push us. They are struggling. That bears, you son of a gun. Yeah, see, this is one of those scenarios where in a personal account, you know, maybe for some traders it makes sense. Yeah, I'll bring my stop up beneath this bear bar, and if it triggers, which it would have, I'll get out for, you know, that's disappointing, but I'll get 9 points out of it. The problem is trading prop, having a live stop out with the leader account, that would technically be a break of the 5-to-1 risk reward rule, which I'm not into. So with prop, you have to make some adjustments, which usually ends up looking like less management, which does not make it worse. It just maybe makes you a little less active in some cases, which is fine. Nico, do you not move your stop to break even, plus a few points when in profit? This is one of the most common questions I get. No, because it ends up making the reps, you know, when the reps look back at your data, they're like, why do you have so many like 2-tick winners? You're breaking 5-to-1 risk reward, or yeah. Risk reward, or sorry, yeah, 5-1 risk reward, 1-to-5 reward to risk. So no, I don't do that, and I think that the reason in most strategies that people like to move to break even is because it feels nice. It feels like a free trade. That doesn't exist. You put the risk on initially, right? Not just because you're in the money now doesn't mean it's a free trade. You had to get in the money first. Yeah, Mark, you would think so. You would think so, but I'm not playing that game because I know that a lot of the reps probably don't trade. But that's fine. You know, when you understand that moving to break even, this is the important thing. It doesn't make your data look better. It just makes it look different. Okay? You're going to have more break even stops. Okay, so sure, you might go 40 points in the money and then get stopped at break even. It's like, wow, that sucks, but at least I didn't lose money. It doesn't mean the data looks better. So if you just are hands off, a lot of traders would do a lot better if they managed things less intensely. So yeah, with prop, you know, you could say, okay, but moving to break even, it protects my trailing drawdown. But does it? On one trade it might, but in a bigger sample size, does it really? Because if you're getting stopped out at break even all the time, you're going in the money and then losing that trailing drawdown, and it's happening more frequently. Whereas if you just don't touch it, you know, sometimes you might go 40 points in the money and then lose, you know, 50 points when you get stopped out because it never hit your target at like 60 or whatever. And you lose more of the trailing drawdown, but it's going to happen less frequently on average. So moving to break even is a really common thing that a lot of beginners love to do because it feels good psychologically. It's like, okay, I can't lose money now. It's a free trade. It's not a free trade. You put on the risk initially. Mikey says, a lot of other traders I watch trail their stop loss, question mark. Let them. It's just different. That doesn't make it better to trail your stop. It just makes the data different. All due respect, I don't really care what other traders are doing. All right, only about 6 points in the money at this point. Kind of right around that 5-minute 20, which has been of interest a little bit so far today. Not nearly as much as some days. Javaz, how about exiting 15 points before reaching the target goal? Why? Again, all that does is increase probability slightly and decrease your average reward to risk. And what happens when you start taking it 15 points early and then, you know, you're like, well, if I took it 20 points early, that one wouldn't have been a loser. That's a race to the bottom. You know, every one of these questions, when these trades come up, every single one of these questions is a psychology problem, not a math problem. I need you guys to understand that. This is all, you're all just asking things that protect psychology. None of these things improve probability. Well, maybe they improve probability, but at the same time, they decrease reward to risk. None of them give you more edge. They just protect your psychology, which is why other people that you guys watch do these things. Not to sound whatever, but we're up 29,000 in the last 3 trading days. I'm going to keep doing what I do. I trust my data more than another live streamer. Again, all due respect. Well, let's see if the bulls can make it happen for us here on this one. Yeah, listen, Scooby, if you like to trail your stop, don't get me wrong, guys. I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm just saying it's different. Okay, it just, at the end of the day, your data will look slightly different. That doesn't mean, though, this is where everyone loses. This is where I think I lose everybody. Just because the data looks different because so-and-so trails their stop doesn't make the edge more. The edge could be exactly the same over 1,000 trade sample size. The data just looks different. Right, that's it. Yeah, Chris, Friday was 12,008. Monday was 10,001, and yesterday was 62. Trading Chris, not to brag, but I'm up 60 bucks today. Hey Chris, you're trading 1 micro though, right? Is that right? If so, man, 30 points is nothing to scoff at. That's a pretty decent day. Yes, live every single day. Every day. Every morning. Daniel, the live starts anywhere between 8:15 and 8:30, basically like right before or right around market open each day. And I'm live for a minimum of like 2.5 hours each day. Usually we go closer to 3. All right, bulls, come on now. Give us at least a test of that intraday high. That should take out enough stops to get us at least close to target. Yeah, the stream is at least 2.5 hours each day, and then I'll oftentimes come back and trade the afternoon. But not live. At least not right now. Cindy, we're trading micros right now. I'm trading 51 micros. This is showing 1 because this is my leader account, which is is how it gets displayed on Ninja. But here, those are the accounts and the open P&L. 51 micros currently. Oh, there's some volatility, huh? Is that going to put us red here on this trade so far? Ooh. Here, let's look at this better look. No scheduled news here. There you go. Yeah, no scheduled news. See if we get a headline coming through here. Again, got to be using live stop orders because moves like this, especially with tariff talk, those are going to come sometimes. All right, 1 second. I'll be back in a minute. All right, we're back. Tex says, do you ever have an issue with payouts from Apex regarding the trailing unrealized profit? I trade, okay, listen, I scale horizontally, okay? So, sure, the end P&L is gonna be relatively sizable, but per account, I'm trading pretty damn small. A lot of people, you guys are used to seeing they're trading like 10 minis on a 50K. No, not at all. I'm trading micros across just varying sizes depending on the account size across all the accounts. Hold on 1 second here, 1 sec. All right, we're back. Mr. V says, Nico, can you explain how a 1 minute candle can flush 50 points like that? Doesn't make any sense to me. We have a headline that looks like it's saying, it says Apple and Alibaba's AI rollout in China delayed by Trump's trade war. I would expect there is the headline that caused that move. Yeah, I mean, listen, that's part of trading, especially Nasdaq. If you get news on any of the big names, it's going to move. That's why it's really important to use live orders, especially in a news-happy market like we're kind of currently in with tariffs. We're in a really interesting market right now because it's very news-happy. We get a lot of unscheduled stuff hitting, but at the same time, the volatility has been like weirdly low some of these days, like yesterday afternoon, for example. Come on, bulls. Do it to them. Take out that intraday high. Again, I'm really not interested in getting any less than 60 points out of this trade. Well, I mean, 20-ish points in the money. Looking for, again, ideally 60. Nah, tone to bone. Drawdown is not. I don't worry about drawdown. I'm trading small enough per account that it really doesn't matter much. Now, eventually, you know, at some point, depending on your business model with trade and prop, you'll have an interesting statistically expected losing streak where all of a sudden it starts to matter. But that's why scaling horizontally is so good, because it buys you so much time because you're trading so small per account. You're just scaling the amount of accounts so that the P&L is still respectable and still does something for your life. That your average funded account lasts quite a bit longer, again, on average. And that's opposed to, of course, scaling vertically. A lot of people are like, I'm going to keep the expenses nice and low. I'm going to save $20 on an eval. And they're like, I'm only going to do 2 accounts with Apex. I'm going to trade 10 minis. It's like, okay, you lose 2 trades in a row and the accounts are blown. You're going to lose 2 trades in a row. That's for sure going to come. You're going to lose 4 in a row. You're probably going to lose 12 in a row. Eventually. Scale this horizontally. I'm telling you, it's the way to go with prop. It's kind of the opposite of what they're betting you doing. They're betting that you try to scale vertically, and really what these companies want you to do is trade huge per account and trade like 20 accounts. Trade small per account and then trade as many as you can across different props. And if you're going to do that, obviously you have to very much so trust your trade copier. If you guys haven't yet, please press like on the stream. It does help out tremendously. Keeps it free, and that's all I ask you to do. Except for use code BIG every account you buy. Best deal always, baby. Yeah, this trade definitely taking its time, to be expected. Giovanni says, you mentioned horizontal scaling a while back. Literally changed my life. I now have 7 Apex accounts trading all micros, copy trading them 100% change for me. Thank you. Yeah, listen, it's just I just think it's the right way to go about it. Maybe it's not right for you, but I would expect that it would help you a lot if you guys switched from vertical scaling, meaning scaling your size in a small number of accounts, to horizontal scaling, which means a large number of accounts trading small size per account. Mark says, can you make some more videos of you passing evals like the big evals? Yeah, sure. They are much harder to pass. Yeah. Yeah, I can do the 250 or the 300K. All I can do at the end of the day, though, is show you guys how I do it. Which, again, at the point where you're taking payouts consistently, the opportunity cost is a big deal. So, you know, maybe it wouldn't be the best example for a brand new trader, but I'm certainly not just, like, I know a lot of people, they'll buy 40 evals, wait for CPI, put 20 long, 20 short, and pray that one side passes. I don't do that kind of shit. But I trade big in the beginning of the evals. On the first trade, I put on the most risk, and then I size down into the finish line. But sure, I can make a video on it. Aaron, this Apex sale is basically the same as 90% off, mathematically speaking. Yeah, a lot of people I don't think understand that. Apex is 71% off, but the activation fee is on a big discount right now if you use code BIG, B-I-G. Comes out to being basically the same. Ooh, Taz. Is anybody trading on a phone? Says, hello, quick question. Do you know if there's a way to copy trade on an iPhone? I don't know of a way. Maybe does Tradeovate have like an app and you can copy trade right in Tradeovate? I don't think you can do it on Ninja on a phone. Yeah, there you go. You should be able to use Tradeovate and use their kind of built-in group trader. But with Rhythmic, I don't know. Probably not. Ooh, Jason says Tradeovate doesn't copy trade on an iPhone. It's too bad. You know, we've talked about this before, guys. If you're like looking at trading, if you're here, you're probably serious enough to be like, okay, this makes sense for me. You don't need a big, powerful PC to trade at all. Like, trading is a very lightweight thing. If you're serious about this, again, if you're here, you're probably serious enough to justify this. You can do it on the cheap, man. Go on Facebook Marketplace and just buy a laptop. It doesn't need to be crazy. Maybe look online, hey, like, you know, Ninja Trader minimum machine requirements. And they should have a page on that, I would expect. Software usually does. And just get a little above that. Facebook Marketplace, you can probably find one, $100. And start off on that. And then eventually you can treat yourself to an upgraded machine. No, this is NQ. Trooped Out says, I need to switch to futures from options. Theta Decay, making my gain smaller, even though I got my 40 point move. Yeah, listen, again, we've talked about options so much. Options, taking net sell positions, meaning like running the wheel, basic net sell spread positions. That was the first thing that allowed me to trade full time and cover everything my now wife and I needed. Option strategies were the first, but not buying options, not using them as intraday trading vehicles, not buying short dateds and hoping it goes up. We've talked about this so many times. Options are a complex product, much more so than futures, I would argue. Futures were built, they were designed to be traded and used for hedging. That's pretty much it. They're basically trading vehicles. Options, yeah, trading vehicles, but they're used for much more complex strategies, and in order for them to create a market with that much leverage in like the short dated out of the money calls and puts, for example, Why would anyone sell you that much leverage? Well, because probability is heavily weighted in their favor through the Greeks. Options, buying them, not a great intraday trading product. They're just inferior. Futures are so clean. This is what they were made for. The spreads are tight. The market is deep. There's no like theta decay, right? They're just a beautiful trading product. Top tier. All right, guys. Well, this trade's taking its sweet time, and I'm gonna manage it as you see on screen. Okay, so I'm gonna, unless something crazy happens with a bar that really requires early management, I don't want to speak in certainties, probabilities, but I'm pretty much gonna leave it like this. I'm gonna grab some lunch, and then I'll probably come back to trade the afternoon. All right, now again, guys, the Apex deal right now with code BIG is basically once you pass and pay the activation fee, it's pretty much the same as what the 90% deal was, mathematically speaking, all in cost. But take profit trader, if you're like, hey, listen, I really want daily payouts, take profit is by far your best bet. 30% off, no activation fee, which is a big deal because that activation fee, if you don't use the code, is over $100. No activation fee at all if you use code BIG. B-I-G. All right, guys, if you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you tomorrow morning, 8:15 a.m. Central Time. All right, guys, have a good day. This is how the trade looks. It's going to stay that way. Again, unless something crazy happens, I'll update you tomorrow morning. All right, guys, have a good one.